Story. Everyone is fake, and everyone one has two faces, loudly crying face, angry face with horns. Section 1. The Masked World. The city of Norhaven was always alive. Buzzing streets, bright billboards, and strangers exchanging polite nods as though everyone belonged to one large, happy family. Yet, to Ion, it was all too perfect. He noticed it in the small things. Smiles that lingered a second too long. Compliments that sounded rehearsed. Eyes that seemed to measure rather than connect. In Norhaven, no one raised their voice in public, no one frowned for too long, and no one ever admitted to having a bad day. Ion worked at a marketing firm where charm was currency. Every Monday morning, the office echoed with enthusiastic greetings. "How was your weekend?" someone would ask. "Amazing. I loved it," came the cheerful reply, even from the ones who looked like they hadn't slept in days. One Friday evening, Ion was invited to a corporate dinner at a luxurious rooftop restaurant. The place was a dazzling blend of golden lights and glass walls, with the city's skyline glittering below. Laughter floated between tables like warm perfume. People clinked glasses, complimented each other's outfits, and told stories that painted their lives as perfect. During dessert, Ion excused himself to the restroom. On his way, he passed a dim hallway and heard hushed voices. "I can't stand her," a man whispered sharply. "She's unbearable. The way she talks, like she's smarter than everyone," a woman added. Ion paused. These were the same two colleagues who, minutes ago, had been praising that very woman's presentation, calling her brilliant and inspiring. He continued walking, pretending not to have heard, but the words stayed with him like a splinter in his mind. Back at the table, the same pair laughed warmly with the woman they had insulted. Their faces were perfectly pleasant, their voices honey-sweet. And suddenly, Ion felt like he was the only one without a mask. Later that night, as he walked home through quiet streets, the air felt heavier than usual. His thoughts chased each other in circles. Was everyone like this? Was kindness just an act? His phone buzzed. "Unknown number. If you want to see the truth, follow the shadows." Ion stopped walking. The message had no name, no picture, just a blank gray icon and those unsettling words. He looked around. The street was empty, the shops closed, their windows reflecting the dim orange glow of street lamps. Somewhere in the distance, a stray cat darted into an alley. He typed back, "Who is this?" No reply. He slipped the phone into his pocket, his heart beating a little faster. The city suddenly felt different, less like home and more like a stage. Everyone around him seemed like an actor in a play, smiling and bowing on cue. And if the world was a stage, he wondered, who was behind the curtain? Section 2. Peeling the First Mask. The anonymous message lingered in Ion's mind like a whisper he couldn't unhear. Follow the shadows. The next day at work, he found himself watching people differently. It was subtle at first, noticing how the receptionist's warm smile faded into a blank stare when no one was looking, or how his boss's voice softened for clients, but turned sharp when speaking to the cleaning staff. At lunch, he saw the cafe owner, the same one who greeted customers with a cheery, "Welcome, friend," scolding a young waiter in a tone so harsh it made the boy's hands tremble. The moment the doorbell chimed and another customer entered, the owner's grin snapped back into place like a switch had been flipped. That evening, Ion's phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. You see it now, don't you?" Ion stared at the screen before replying. "Who are you?" The answer came almost instantly. Someone who stopped pretending. Attached was a photo, grainy but clear enough to make out. It showed one of Ion's coworkers, smiling politely at a team meeting. Beneath it, another photo, the same man alone, rolling his eyes, muttering to himself, face twisted with disdain. Over the next week, the messages kept coming. Short notes, photographs, snippets of overheard conversations. "She calls her best friend, behind her back. He laughs at your ideas after agreeing to them." The final blow came on a rainy Thursday night. Ion was scrolling through his phone when a video popped up from the unknown sender. It was Zion, his best friend since school. They'd shared secrets, supported each other through breakups, and always defended one another. In the clip, Zion was at a small gathering, drink in hand, surrounded by a few people from Ayan's office. Ayan? He's alright, but honestly?
He's too naive.
Always trusts people. It's kind of pathetic, Zion said, smirking. Laughter followed. Ayan replayed it 3 times, hoping he'd misheard. He hadn't. The betrayal burned hot in his chest. This wasn't just some stranger or colleague. This was the one person he believed would never wear a mask with him. That night, he lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Rain tapped against his window in steady rhythm, but his mind was anything but calm. He began to see patterns, faces that changed like the weather, tones that shifted depending on the audience. His phone buzzed once more. Unknown number. Soon you'll see their second faces, but be ready to see yours too. Ayan sat up in bed, phone in hand, his reflection staring back at him in the black screen. The words sent a shiver through him. He had been so focused on everyone else's masks, he had never thought about whether he wore one himself. Section 3. The Hidden Mirror. The warning. Be ready to see yours too. Gnawed at Ayan for days. He couldn't stop thinking about the faceless messenger who seemed to know so much.
Who were they?
And why were they showing him all of this? One afternoon, Ayan studied the latest photo the texter had sent. In it, a man sat at an outdoor cafe, wearing a polite grin while speaking to a woman. Ayan almost missed it, but in the corner of the image, reflected in the cafe's glass window, was a blurry street sign. He zoomed in until the letters sharpened. Willow Street. It wasn't far from his apartment. The next day, under a gray sky, he walked there. Rows of small shops lined the street, their windows misted from the cold. And then he saw her, a young woman sitting at a corner table outside a bookstore, sipping tea. Her eyes flicked to him the moment he stopped. "You found me," she said, as if she'd been expecting him all along. Her name was Mina. Her voice was calm, her expression unreadable. "I'm the one who sent the messages," she admitted. "I wanted you to see what I saw." Ayan sat across from her, suspicion prickling his skin. "Why?" "Because," she said, leaning closer, "everyone here is wearing a mask. And you were walking around as if you didn't notice." For the next half hour, Mina spoke in low tones about her past, how she once worked in a high-profile job, smiling and agreeing with people she despised, pretending to care about things she didn't. She claimed that one day, she decided she couldn't stand the act anymore. Now, she collected truths, exposing the second faces people kept hidden. Then she slid her phone across the table. "I want you to watch something." Ayan hesitated, but pressed play. It was him at a recent work event. He was talking to a man from another department, complimenting his ideas and laughing at his jokes. Then, moments later, captured from a different angle, Ayan turned to a colleague and muttered, "That guy has no clue what he's doing." He rolled his eyes. The same look he'd seen on others. His stomach tightened. "That's not the same thing," he said weakly. Mina tilted her head. "Isn't it? You smiled. You lied. You put on a face for him, just like everyone else." Ayan wanted to argue, but the words stuck in his throat. "We all have 2 faces," Mina said. "One for the world, and one we save for ourselves. The trick is knowing when you're wearing which and why." Before he could respond, Mina stood, leaving a small folded note on the table. She walked away, disappearing into the mist. Ayan unfolded the paper. In neat handwriting, it read, "Now you know. What will you do with the truth?" Section 4. The Choice of Faces. The note sat on Ayan's desk for days. He read it over and over, the words "What will you do with the truth?" pressing on him like a weight. At first, he felt angry at Mina for showing him his own hypocrisy, angry at the people around him for pretending, angry at himself for being no different. But as the days passed, the anger faded into something colder, awareness. Once you saw the masks, you couldn't unsee them. At the grocery store, the cashier's cheerful greeting was followed by a heavy sigh the moment the customer turned away. In the elevator, neighbors exchanged warm smiles, then muttered complaints as soon as the doors closed. Even at home, Ayan noticed his own parents offering polite hospitality to a visiting relative, only to roll their eyes once she was gone. It wasn't just other people. It was everyone. The more he saw, the more he realized that life without masks didn't seem possible. They weren't just disguises, they were shields. Without them, every irritation, every dislike, every raw thought would spill into the open, and the world would crumble under its own honesty. One evening, he tried something different. At work, he caught a colleague speaking ill of another, then smiling sweetly when that person walked in. "Why do you do that?" Ayan asked. The colleague blinked, startled. "Because it's easier," she said with a shrug. "You don't have to like everyone. You just have to get along." Her words followed him all day. Maybe Mina had been right. Masks were part of survival. That night, Ayan walked through Norhaven's crowded streets. Golden lights spilled from shop windows, music drifted from cafes, and everywhere he looked, people smiled. To an outsider, it was beautiful. To him, it was a stage. He paused at a store window and caught his own reflection. Neat hair, polite smile, calm eyes. A man who looked approachable. The kind of man who would nod politely to a stranger, even if his mind was elsewhere. A couple passed by, and he instinctively smiled at them. They smiled back, their eyes tired but pleasant. The exchange felt like a silent agreement. "I'll wear mine if you wear yours." In that moment, he understood something. Mina had shown him the truth, but the truth wasn't about removing masks. It was about knowing they were there, his and everyone else's. He slipped his hands into his pockets and kept walking. The city around him glittered like 1,000 painted faces under the night sky. As he disappeared into the crowd, his smile stayed in place, not because it was real, not because it was fake, but because it was necessary.